Hi, this is Sophia. For my math teaching experience, I got to teach in the kindergarten again. We did a morning center because that's what the best way that it could fit into the schedule. And our teachers' objectives for the math activity were more or less estimation and counting. So I was looking for an activity with technology where the students could estimate a little bit and count those things that they're guessing afterwards when they check their work. And I actually found two games that are on the PBS.org website, PBS Kids. And they're two Curious George games. One of them is called Count Your Chickens, and the other one is called How Tall. So first of all, for Count Your Chickens, that's one where there's a little pen of chickens, and they look at it, and it says how many chickens are there. And so they can use their mouse if they need to, or they can just look and guess how many chickens are, and they can count them. And then what I liked about the game is that it escalates a little bit more in difficulty. So once they do that, then they go to, well, which pen has more. So then they go from one to the other and try and compare which one has more. And it's interesting to see their counting strategies. That's one of the things that's really beneficial about this game, is that if you talk kids through it, you can see like, well, how did you know that there are 3 chicks in this one? It's like, oh, I just guessed, you know. Some of them will say that, or they could say, I can see that there are 3. So they're like recognizing that quantity. And also, some of the times they will just say like, well, I counted 1, 2, 3. So you can see the different counting strategies. And I thought that was really good. And it would be really, I would maybe use it as an assessment as well to see what kind of strategies they're using. And that would help me as a teacher know, okay, this is how I need to teach math to this student. This is how they count. And also, those children can teach their strategies to other kids who maybe would find it easier to use those strategies. I love this one. I think it was really effective. With both of these games, we just had them on 2 different monitors, but it was the same activity. And I'll just go on to explain the next one as well. This one was called How Tall. So basically what happens in this one is that there's a picture of something, let's say a panda bear, and then they would give another unit next to it that would say like, how many teddy bears tall is this panda bear, or how many lemons tall is this panda bear. So 2 items that are completely unrelated, and then they would have to compare and estimate how many of that item tall the other one was. So I thought it was a really good way for them to kind of estimate a little bit and see their strategies as well. Some of them just guessed out of nowhere, and then I kind of showed them, well, what if you used your finger and you kind of said, okay, well, it's this much for this one, so let's count how many tall it would be for that quantity. And I wouldn't do it all for them, but I just kind of give them that idea, so I offered a little bit of scaffolding. And that helped some of them. Some of them didn't need it. They just looked and they kind of guessed in their minds and estimated. And then afterwards were able to count. So I liked in both of those strategies there's room for estimation, and then afterwards they can check their work and see if they can get it right. I thought both of them were really engaging. The only, well, I'll explain a little bit more. They're engaging because obviously it's extremely interactive. It's Curious George. There's a character that they're familiar with. And they had some silly items and things like that that made the kids giggle and want to keep doing it. So it's definitely perfectly geared towards kids, very aesthetically pleasing, there we go. And so I think they really enjoyed it. The only time we ran into difficulty was when they wanted to click the other buttons on the page. You know, a lot of times they would do the game for maybe a few minutes and then say, like, I want to try a different game, just because in the nature of the game right above it there's a menu. And so they can see other pictures and they see like, oh, I want to try something else, and so they'll go and do that. But all I had to do was just remind them, you know what, we're doing this job right now, and they say okay, or if they didn't want to do it, they could move to the other computer, so that offered a little bit of variety, or they could go to one of the different centers. But it really wasn't a problem. It was just something that having that other stimulation there, like, gave them other opportunities, other availabilities that they thought, well, maybe I want to try that. But I just let them know, like, that's not an option right now, this is our job. So I thought it was really efficient because it doesn't, the only materials you need is a computer. We did it on 2 monitors. You don't have to do it on 2. I just wanted to have 2 different games going at the same time so we could have a little bit of variety, so that the kids, so the kids wouldn't get really bored with one. They could try the other one, because we did it over a span of 2 days. We did it on Thursday and on Friday. Let's see what else. So like I said before, the way that I would use it would maybe something like this. A center is always a good idea to help reinforce those objectives that they're learning. But also I really like it as an assessment activity to see how they're doing with things that they've learned during class. And I would use it because it's engaging, because it's efficient and effective, in meeting the goals. So it was very effective in helping them learn about estimation and about counting. I really like that a lot about this technology. So that's it. I definitely would totally recommend it. They're on PBS Kids. One of them is called How Tall, and the other one is called Count Your Chickens.